So I got my wish, and I think some of the other members of our podcast that were on last week got their wish, with Orange County making quite a few changes to their roster after the implosion against Tulsa a couple weekends ago. Although it did start off great against New Mexico, it sure ended a lot better than the way it started. This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast.
We are underway in the postseason, the first playoff game ever played in Orange County.
It's a 1-2, Godoy. He's found a great ball into Voltson. Plenty of time. He smashes it home and doubles the visitors' lead. Thomas into Voltson.
Now Segber sprinting forward on the counterattack. A little handsy there, crosses it. Pineda, the extra pass. Seaton finishes.
It rolls down to his left and burying aside. Well taken care of by the Orange County keeper.
We'll leave it for Aiden Quinn. He'll strike towards goal, and it's gone in!
An equalizer and a winner in second half stoppage time for Orange County off the left boot of Aiden Quinn.
This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, the only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast and on Facebook at Orange and Black SoccerCast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black SoccerCast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I am with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Joining me as he does each and every episode, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. Surviving through this week. Oh, it's only Tuesday. I'm trying to survive this week.
Trying to survive this week? What's going on? It can't be that hard of a week, can it?
Oh, I've got some papers due later this week. Some midterms coming up. It's all that fun stuff.
That, I guess, can always make it a little difficult when you have some papers for college. Anyone that goes or has gone to college can probably understand that. I think our other guest we have right here with us, coming back again, he's just setting up shop here with us. We've got Cameron. Cameron, welcome back to the Orange and Black SoccerCast.
I'm still retaining my groupie status.
Still retaining it. Is that why you just keep coming back each and every episode just to find a way to retain that status?
Yeah, I feel like I have to like make some appearances. It's just gotta maintain it. Gotta maintain it. But the week's been going pretty good. Just got accepted into the teaching credential program at Cal State Fullerton for social studies. So I'm excited about that. So as Dylan's is working on school, I'm going right back into it. So I'm going to be about that life this fall.
Well, Cameron, no one ever makes money in education.
We do it for the money. We do it for the fame.
Yes. See,
and the money too.
So education and podcast host sounds like a very similar profession here. Don't make the money.
Support the welfare state, everyone, because Cameron's going to need it.
Hey, I get a pension.
Hey, I get a pension too with my job, so that's pretty cool. Joining on last minute addition to our episode of the podcast here, I reached out to him. He was listening to us on YouTube. I said, hey, do you want to join us for another episode? And he said, sure, why not? We've got returning one of our writers for our website, Alan Underwood. Alan, welcome back.
Thanks. I'm enjoying my spring break with some U.S. men's national team today.
You know what? To be honest, I didn't even follow the match. I don't even know what happened. You guys will have to educate me on that. But yeah, we'll definitely get into that as we discuss more things. How was your weekend? I know you had some sort of special thing going on with your band, right, Alan?
Yeah, we had festival. All three groups went. Outside of some transportation issues, things went pretty well. Kids did a good job. And now it's 2 weeks free of students. So it's a lot of catching up on USL games.
Wait, you get a 2-week spring break?
Yeah, it's pretty legit. 2 weeks. Yeah.
Now we know why Cameron
you
tried
should
to
look
get into
a job
education.
Yeah, wow.
I'm pretty sure most school districts have a 1 week spring break. So I mean, I'm bracing for it.
Can't it's not too bad. Anytime you can get a little bit of break in there. I know as a teacher, you have to sort of manage your money a little bit better because it's sort of you're not working. They don't pay you during that period. Sometimes I don't know if all districts do that, but
well, they're usually they're usually 10-month employees usually.
Until you get tenure.
Yeah, until you get tenure. But like, if you're not getting tenure, it's 10 months.
Well, I know people didn't come on to this to listen to what it takes or what it's like to be an educator in the California school systems. They've come to hear what we have to say about Orange County Soccer Club and what happened not only this past weekend, but what's coming up. So let's get into the thick of things. If you missed it, if you didn't get a chance to check out the match, Orange County did play this past weekend. They hosted New Mexico United, one of the new teams in the league, and maybe didn't get off to the greatest start, but it was a strong finish from Orange County to walk away with at least a point in this match. It's one of those matches I talked about, I think, in our season preview, Dylan, that New Mexico and El Paso, which is coming up next week, sort of scared me because they're such new teams. Although some of these players are pretty familiar in the league and the coaches are pretty familiar in the league, it's always difficult to see what the teams are going to put out there, especially, when they've only played a couple, or in New Mexico's case, at the time we played them 3 matches. Dylan, you were at the match. What are your initial thoughts just, about the match in general and how it all played out? And then we'll get into more details in a little bit.
I took some notes during the game because I'm a responsible person. This is something that you learn when you're a student, I think, or at least a good student. So let me look at those really quickly. Let me start with the refereeing was the worst I've ever seen. And I'm kind of amazed that it burst a blood vessel in my eye from treating the refs with dignity and respect, as I always do.
And we will get into that. I promise those of you listening, we will get into our discussion. We have to bring back that ref suck segment that we did a lot of last year. We're definitely going to get into this. And we'll take a couple different views from it. Continue on though, Dylan.
We basically didn't play the first half. We had like 2 scoring chances that entire half. It wasn't ideal the first 45 minutes, and neither of the teams could really get a rhythm, but especially Orange County couldn't get a rhythm with just like random calls and then play being held up. It was really confusing and really amateur. And I kind of thought that was going to be it for us, but second half came out and it was a totally different team, especially once Trotter came on. Don't know what happened there. I mean, the dude doesn't run quickly, but wow, he's got that natural talent. Like the British boys have that natural talent that is a step above everyone else. And he was calm, and he's obviously pretty big, so he was able to shake off some challenges, and we looked better. And also, Cervantes looked good at the back. I mean, kid had been 17 for 2 or 3 days, pro debut.
How else can you celebrate your 17th birthday than, making a professional debut?
I've had no birthdays that are that good.
And just, I guess, to totally recap at least the first half of the match, which again, we'll get into more details. I wasn't at the match. I actually had plans with my wife and some friends. So we were out
at a life.
Yes, a life. I was in Costa Mesa at a dueling piano bar. I had texted Dylan because I was, I'm one of those people, even if I'm out with my wife, she knows I'm going to be checking my phone throughout the night to see the score. At halftime, it's, Orange County's down 2-0. I send a text out to Dylan, what's going on with the game? I won't repeat the answer completely that Dylan gave me, but basically said, we suck. And I guess anyone that was watching the match at halftime would have probably agreed with you, Dylan, on that at that point. Cameron, I know you were at the match as well. Would you agree with that text that I received from Dylan? There was a word I omitted from there. I'm not going to say it on our podcast, but would you agree with Dylan's assessment of the first half?
Well, it was basically an inverse of last game, where we started well in the first half against Tulsa, but then we just petered off in the second half. Well, this game, last game was clearly on their minds. and I think they were just they couldn't string passes together. There was nothing going in the final third. It was all New Mexico. Darwin Jones looked like a lost man up top, trying to hold the line. Clearly not his position, and it took him a while to get out of the gates. And I think those key substitutions, especially in Liam Trotter and Sebastian Dupre, helped Orange County move the ball around better. And getting that goal in the 59th minute helped spark the comeback, of course, especially being early on in the second half. And it felt like if you weren't expecting some sort of comeback, I felt like this was just going to be a terrible day at the office, and they hadn't gotten last game's loss out of their head. I think Cloutier definitely there's a lot more positives he can take out and a lot more positives that we can take out, because I would rather end strong than end terrible. So there's a lot. I mean, in terms of offensively, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, still Orange County don't look nearly half as good when Seton isn't on the pitch. They just operate better with a front man, and Darwin Jones is not that person to do it. And
definitely agree with you on that. It's one of the scary things with this club. You know, you have Seton out here now for 2 matches in a row, and the team is still struggling a little bit to figure out what to do up there in his absence.
Yeah, but it feels like they need to get him back sooner rather than later.
Definitely. I don't think you'll find anyone that's agree with you on that statement. That's probably the statement of the year right there, Cameron. Alan, to you, because if you're like me, you didn't get to watch it at the stadium. You were watching on the ESPN Plus stream. You probably heard when the announcing team on the game sort of made the comment, 3 matches for Orange County, 3 different back lines. Probably part of the struggles that we're seeing with this team is we haven't yet found that steady. I know we're only 3 matches in, but we haven't found this steady, consistent lineup where you're only making 1 or 2 changes in there. I mean, this match was a complete overhaul from what we saw the previous match. Do you think that had anything to play with the first half struggles for Orange County?
No, I mean, it's like watching Jekyll and Hyde. It's the craziest thing in the world. It's like literally 2 different teams. I wrote this in the power rankings. It's like one half, they're like one of the worst teams. The second half, I would put them, top 10 in the league, the way they were playing the second half. And I don't know if that's like New Mexico getting tired and Orange County kind of just playing with the ball a little bit more. I mean, you have to tip your hat to Santi Moore. His form right now is out of this world. That guy just scores. It's like the first one, you're like, ugh. And then the second one goes in, you're like, all right, well, Dylan already warned me, hey, don't watch the first half. But I did anyway. I tortured myself. Yeah, I really hope that save in the second half sparked something in them that, hey, we have a goalie who's going to make some saves. We have a back line that's, confident and can score. I think El Paso is going to give a good chance to kind of pull the wagons together, if you will, and kind of just put something together. I think El Paso, they're not a bad team, but they're definitely a team that they should beat. And I think that might give them some confidence and finally get a W on the board.
So let's talk about this. The switch between the first and the second half. I think Cameron sort of got it right there on the nail there with the Liam Trotter sub. Made a big difference for this team. I know watching the broadcast on ESPN Plus, the announcer sort of questioned the move, bringing in Trotter for Koji Hashimoto. It's one of those things once he got into the match, you could see just this different level of composure out there compared to almost any player that was on the pitch. I think compared to everyone on the pitch, Trotter was on this other level of just steady, calm, doing what you need to do in the match. I think him coming from playing in England in the more challenging leagues in England, the lower leagues in England, that is a different atmosphere than what you have here. And he's had a solid career out there. He comes out here. I think that move is the move of the match for Orange County. It totally changed the complexion of the match. Oh, and by the way, just listening again, with this is what the announcers were saying on the broadcast, is this seems to be something that New Mexico is already starting to be known for in the early season, is getting an early lead and then just sort of maybe sitting on it instead of maybe going for the jugular and just trying to take the team out when you have that 2-goal lead, go for that last goal to just sort of knock them out. Dylan, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what New Mexico's issue has been drawing, is that they build up a lead, and then rather than keep playing and go for the jugular, as you said, they sit back and park the bus and try and play Mourinho ball. And
the worst kind of ball there is.
Yes, and they're not good enough defensively to do it, so they keep squandering these leads, which I guess is awesome if you're not a fan of New Mexico, because it means your team has a good chance, especially if they've got a lot of attacking firepower and they're comfortable on the ball. Probably not great if you are a New Mexico fan, but for neutrals and for Orange County fans, and I guess Phoenix fans as well, it's awesome. But it really was the tale of two different teams, and we heard that this guy that we all kind of thought was gonna be like washed up and slow, and we were all confused about the signing.
Yeah, people were making fun of from AFC Wimbledon. They were like celebrating, like they basically were celebrating their team didn't sign someone. They were celebrating that someone signed someone from their team. I guess that they just really disliked it, to put it in nice terms.
They were at the floor of League One, and I think they still might be at the floor of League One. And so they were right.
Although they have been playing better. They have been playing better.
Yes, they have.
Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. But
they're second to bottom.
Ooh, the Great Escape is on. Who's bottom now?
Bradford City.
Yeah, so I think they were excited to get rid of him, but then all of a sudden this guy doesn't need to move very much, doesn't need to get up and down the pitch very quickly. If we're going to play these really intense periods where we're going to press teams into their box, this is exactly the guy I want on the pitch for that, because his mobility isn't as important during that.
Just his physicality.
And his physicality and his ball control and his ability to pass is just, oh God, it was nice to watch that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that game equalizing play right there shortly. I want to get over to you really quick, Alan. What are your thoughts on all of that with just the way New Mexico seems to like to just sit on the ball once they build up a lead there? Is that really what they should be doing? Or I guess, is that a gift to the rest of the league whenever you're playing New Mexico? You know, they're going to go up early, and then you always have a chance to fight back.
I think with some of the offensive guys that got going, I think they could have pressed even more. I do think that team can't sit back and defend I shouldn't say very well. They shouldn't sit back and defend. Some teams just need to be on the front foot the whole time. The Liam Trotter shout, like I literally saw him. I'm like, I saw like there was a kind of like a hard foul. I'm like, dude is playing for keeps right now. He is like that big bruiser. New Mexico's a little bit tired. They're on the ropes. So he just came in and just like that physical presence just kind of beat him up a little bit too. So it wasn't just his passing. I was like, man, this is a dude.
Well, and that foul you're talking about, I think it's very funny because that foul you're talking about, you could see it in his face. Like after the foul was called, like he didn't give a, you know what, he's just like, come on, let's just keep going, man. He didn't care what the ref had to say.
No, he was like, I'm not here to play with little kids. I'm here to play with men. And I think that speaks to, what Coach talked about last week. He's like, I watched these guys are out here like a youth soccer team. And I think Trotter really kind of personified that sometimes you got to play a little bit rough, a little bit more like the East Coast style, like St. Louis, just kind of a little bit like, I don't want to say smash mouth. That's not the right word. Just a little bit tough, a little bit gritty. To kind of change the narrative from time to time. You can't just play, can't just brush your teeth.
Let's talk about this really quick then. Dude, now I just totally lost my train of thought because of that buzz that I heard. Okay, here's what we're going to go to next. Last episode, I wish I would have actually got this clip because I think it was me last episode. I said, we need a change at goalie. I don't care how Lopez Lopez had played in the first two matches. We needed a change after that match. And I don't remember if any of you were sort of like questioning that, like yes, we need it. But lo and behold, when the lineups were announced, we found out Cervantes was going to be making his professional debut. Yes, and it was like 3 days after turning 17. So what better way to turn 17 than making your professional soccer debut? Dylan, when we talked last week, did you have any thoughts that Cervantes would actually be starting this match, or was that sort of more of a pipe dream of mine?
I think everyone in the organization and the fans all thought, probably everyone in the league thought, that Cervantes needed a chance, because that showing against Tulsa was abysmal. And I think that's the kind of performance you can drop someone for. And it worked out, and Cervantes stepped up. So, no, I don't think it was just you. I think it was probably everyone involved with the club in any capacity.
Were Cameron or Alan, were either of you shocked to see Cervantes as the starting goalie at age 17?
No, I was not shocked. I think that was me trying this again before Alan.
I thought they might have waited one more week against El Paso, but I thought they were going to give the kid a chance at some point in the first couple of matches.
And can we just say this? I mean, yeah, I know he gave up 2 goals early on in the match, but really when you look at those 2 goals, that first goal, I don't think anyone would have saved that first goal. That was just a perfectly placed ball in the upper corner of the net. And the second goal, I mean, really more to blame on Kevin Alston than on Cervantes. Yeah, Cervantes hesitated a little bit, but as captain of the team, Kevin Alston has to know you can't lazily throw a ball or pass a ball back to your goalkeeper who's making his debut. You need to get it to him. So really, you look at what Cervantes did, and then the awesome save he made in the second half. I mean, he had a pretty solid start for your debut, again, at 17 years old. I don't care what level you're on. That's a pretty big performance for him. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, I was glad that he was getting the nod on Saturday, and I think Cloutier last week, I think his words were, we're going to sort this out really quickly, and I assumed some of that, what was it? Sorted out really quick. No adverb at the end of that. And he did. It wasn't the lineup that I expected to sort that out. I assume Aiden Quinn was injured because he wasn't in the 18, but of course we didn't hear anything. Club definitely didn't say anything.
Which, so I mean, we never hear anything when there's injuries. So
yeah, it was a bit of a weird, but that was the happy surprise for Saturday night. And then he was strong. He looked really comfortable. You could tell that he's worked with the guys in front of him. And you could tell that he's comfortable with them. And yeah, it was essentially the defense didn't mark anyone for a cross, and there was a free header, and then there was just a sloppy back pass. But the team got together right after that back pass. I don't know if you could have seen this on ESPN, but while Freighter and New Mexico were celebrating in the corner, they had a good amount of time to all get their heads together and kind of try and galvanize things and stop the bleeding. And they managed to do that and make it through the next few minutes without conceding, and then really showed up that second half. That being said, I really don't want to know what it was like in that locker room at halftime, because Cloutier scares me when he's happy at the end of a match. And any time that I have interacted with him, he scares me, and I can't imagine him angry.
Well, I think, yeah, after the match, I think I know I am, and I'm sure, Dylan, you're in the same situation. It's sort of scary to ask him or even ask the club, hey, can I speak with coach, especially after a big loss. I'm going to get to Cameron and Alan about what their thoughts are on Cervantes. How, I don't know the plural. Add that to my upcoming glossary of mess ups when it comes to what I say. But before I get to Alan and Cameron, Dylan got a chance to speak to Cervantes after the match, and this is what he had to say.
Professional debut. How much does that mean just on its own to you?
I just came into this game thinking about it's just another game. Thinking about just going into it like it's a national team game almost. Just same approach as I go into any game, and just confident, yeah.
How pleased are you with the team's second half fight back? I mean, you made some pretty big saves to keep us in it.
Yeah, we came out good second half. We came out much better, strong. I mean, I wish we got the result at home, but it was a good fight to get back the tie. Still not pleased with the tie, though.
And then, what are you looking for games in the future?
Trying to be the starter.
I love the way that ended. That was an awesome last question to ask there, Dylan. What's what to look for in the future?
He was really feeling it.
He wants that job. You could tell he wants it.
Smug look on his face, and I was just like, I'm all for this right now. Like, you absolutely live it up, eat it up, enjoy this because you deserve it.
So, Cameron, let me ask you: Is the job now Cervantes as a starter, and he has to do something really bad to give it up, or does Lopez have any shot of getting back out there?
Well, I think that Cervantes was much more composed than Lopez. I think so. You can tell just night and day how much talent Cervantes has and how little talent that Lopez has. Yeah, it's pretty harsh, but from my end. But clearly, Cervantes looks better trained. But I think that he's the starter unless Orange County make another signature at goalkeeper, and. That's he's a starter until something happened, until they make a goalkeeper signing.
What about you, Alan? What are your thoughts?
Well, he has 100% more saves. He has 2 to 1, and he is also up for goal for save of the week. And right now he is at 44% of the votes, and pretty clearly ahead of Logan Ketterer from El Paso. So those are 2 really cool things. I think he earns another shot at starting. See how he does against El Paso. I think it's his to lose. Definitely his to lose.
Now, you talked about the nomination for save of the week, and thanks for bringing up the stats of where he's sitting right now. I think we were talking before we got started. I know you weren't on here yet with us, Alan, but I know Cameron, Dylan, and I were talking. I mean, USL can't ask for a better storyline than getting a debut who just celebrated his 17th birthday and, by the way, made an awesome save in a match. I mean, they couldn't have queued it up any better than having that as one of the nominees for goal of the week, right, Dylan?
Yeah, sorry, I was typing something really stupid in the chat as if it was a movie, trailer where they do the summer, and then there's the horn, the really low pitched horn, and then it's just a bunch of cuts really quickly. But no, basically, unless we'd won and he'd gotten a shutout, you don't top that.
And I'll ask all 3 of you: are any of those goals? Can you even attribute any of those goals to Aaron Cervantes, or was it pretty much all out of his hand with what happened on the pitch and how those goals came for New Mexico? Cameron, I'll start with you.
Well, the first goal was terrible defending by the center backs. I mean, when the goal was scored, it was 2 unmarked New Mexico forwards. There's nothing Aaron can do on that. That's all defense. And yeah, poor marking, poor setup. That was the name of the first goal. The second goal, there's no real, blunt error from Cervantes. Maybe he could have done a bit better, but I think both goals were not his fault. And whereas, last game, the second goal by Lopez was clearly his fault. So that is, I think we can give Cervantes a pass.
I really now want to know what Lopez did to you, Cameron, because you seem to just have this thing going against him. No, I'm just joking. Alan, let me jump to you. Same question as far as the 2 goals Cervantes did, allow. Would you be able to put any blame on him for either of those matches or either of those goals?
No. The first one, definitely he's not getting to that. The second one, he did take a weird path to the ball, like he was going to try and kick it. So he kind of came to his left to the ball. But, I mean, I watched, Nashville Red Bulls, and this happened to both goalies. And both goalies, one of them made a mess of it and ended up giving up a goal. So a bad head pass back to the goalie, even Van Dijk to Allison the other day against, I remember who Liverpool was playing. Like, these are world-class guys, and these happen to hit them and give up a goal. So I'm not going to fault a kid who's 17 for giving up a goal that Allison gave up in the Premier League.
Well, and especially like when it's coming from the captain of the team and someone that is probably the most solid, player. I don't think any of us would look at that play or that pass from Kevin Alston and really have ever thought that would be what we'd get out of him in that situation. I'm not saying this is sort of what Kevin Alston is. I mean, it's a mistake. Everyone can make mistakes. Even the best players in the world do. So I think that's where the shot came from, some of that. Dylan, I think you already shared your thoughts on that, but I don't know if you want to elaborate more on whether either of those two goals you really can put blame.
No, I have to follow both of those things.
Okay.
I mean, Alston knew it was a bad back pass, and that's life. Mistakes happen.
Well, yeah, and his reaction, if you're watching the ESPN stream, like once he makes that pass and he sees what's happened, I mean, the camera angle is just like his back, just like, and then you see the action going beyond that, and you could just see like he pretty much knows that he just basically effed it up at that point, and there's really nothing that can be done. And I'm sure he felt bad about it. It was slightly after he had taken a little knock after a challenge from a New Mexico player, so who knows if that had anything to do with what happened there.
But importantly, he put his head down and he got to work until he got subbed off, and he moved that up from there. So he is still, he made a mistake, but he's still the consummate professional.
Yeah, I just was seeing the chat that Alan just posted up there. Yeah, if this whole story with Cervantes, if he wins the save of the week and maybe eventually we go on and we're somehow champions and he's the league MVP because of what he does, that would be a perfect movie, trailer or movie poster, just that shot of what happened there or something like that. Maybe just instead with Aaron making a great save. Let's get into the goals that Orange County scored. The first one of the match probably, I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but came from who has been the shining star for Orange County, at least through the first 3 matches, and that was Darwin Jones. Probably was going to go in anyways from the initial touch. I forget exactly who it was that made the initial touch, but Darwin Jones just sort of tapped it in right at the goal line. Sort of sparked the team. This came shortly after the Cervantes save, which sort of initiated the spark. And then this goal, you can see the team now sensed that there is a chance that they can come back, and you could see them putting a little bit more pressure on New Mexico. Let me go to you, Alan, because I haven't heard your voice for a few moments here. What are your thoughts on just that sort of setup there?
Yeah, it was kind of a long of what felt like the tide was eventually going to turn. I was hopeful that something was going to happen. I don't know if he needed to put that in, but I don't think you leave any doubts. You're down 2-0. I don't know how you say it. And I think you put that in regardless. Like, if it's on the goal line, there's a New Mexico defender there who I've seen those things get punched out centimeters from going over. So you got to kick that thing in when you got a chance.
What about you, Cameron? What did you think of that Darwin Jones goal?
I mean, I was talking to Chad in the press box, and I said, Darwin Jones looks like a lost man out there. And then when I said it, he put the ball in the back of the net. So, I mean, I think apart from that goal, I really didn't think he played that well, but I don't think it was his fault. It's just he's not a center forward, and he played a lot better when Seaton was on the field. So it's, I'm happy that he got the goal that kickstarted the comeback, but just for a good point of that game, he was rather anonymous.
And then let's go to you, Dylan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking a winger to be a number 9, it's not going to go well. But he did a good job of getting onto Gio's knockdown and blasting that home, and then just getting back to work. I mean, that's all that needed to be done. But there needs to be some structure up top with a true number 9, and we really don't have one outside of Michael Seaton. And it's pretty evident right now, because I don't know if we're playing 2 up top or what we're trying to do, or if Darwin's going there. But then you've got Forrester that's kind of pushing up there too, and then they're swapping off, and it's just a really confusing thing. So it's basically, I feel like Darwin's trying to do 2 jobs at once, and we really just need Seaton back so that everyone can go back to doing their jobs.
Right.
I think, and we've talked about it a few times here over the last weeks, and I think even when the season was getting started, Dylan, it's just that was a scary part of this roster is there's really no true backup to Michael Seaton. So in the instance where he gets injured or where he can't play like the last couple of weeks, then you sort of have this just sort of let's try so-and-so out there, or let's do this. And it may or may not work. And unfortunately, we just don't have that player that can play on the wing and at the number 9 position on there. We really don't have that true backup number 9 that, last year, if Seaton's not playing, you have Enev Olsen still up there up top that can play in that role.
But basically no one can go both ways. I mean, maybe like a Marcus Rashford can do both, but even then I don't think we can afford his wages.
Tottenham Hotspur have a Korean player that is sort of the backup to Harry Kane out there, and he does pretty well out there.
I thought he was a right winger.
Yeah, but when Kane's out, he's the striker.
Well, the thing is, they've been playing a 4-4-2 diamond with Son playing as a second striker to Kane.
That's a solid formation. That's why Luton's top of League One right now.
Let's move on.
Orange County podcast. I forgot.
Shortly after that Darwin Jones goal, Giovanni Godoy had a chance, literally like 6 feet from the goal. Somehow, skied it like 10 feet over the crossbar. You guys, I know Dylan and Cameron, you were at the stadium. I mean, am I right in saying it was pretty far off from even getting close to getting to that goal?
I mean, some things are unexplainable, I
think it's harder to miss that shot than it is actually to make it, right?
I mean, it probably is harder, but I mean, those kinds of things happen, and it's just, GRG didn't buy a ticket to the gun show and missed it.
What about you, Dylan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's like what I do. Like if I'm playing like a Sunday league game or something, and I'm for some reason playing up top, that's what I end up doing is just skying the ball. But he knew that was a bad miss. But I think he's a little bit more comfortable out on the wing, and I think that's where he's better at playing. And then once he was out of that box and being that primary outlet for that final pass, I think it was a little bit better for us.
And I can't remember, but for some reason I'm thinking last season he had a similar situation where he like skied a ball over the crossbar from really close, but maybe I'm just misthinking.
I mean, everyone does it.
I think, yeah. Alan, what about you? You watched it on the ESPN Plus stream. Were you shocked that the ball didn't come anywhere near the goal?
I want to say no, but I mean, we've seen this time and time again. You just don't get a clean hit on it, even if you're right in front of the goal. You see those like memes. It's like a guy and going one-on-one a goalie. He's like, by the way, he doesn't score. I mean, you got to make it, but you can't fault him if things don't go right that one time. Looking back on some of the, minute by minute, he comes back after he skies it and puts another one on net or on the goal. He does it again in the 75th minute. So, you miss one, but you just got to keep taking those shots, and eventually they go in.
And eventually later on, when I'm talking about later on, I'm talking about stoppage time. Orange County was able to finally find the equalizer on just a beautiful, set of movements going on. I think it was off a free kick, got into the penalty box area. Somehow Liam Trotter, again, who we talked about earlier, making his debut, was able to get a nice, like, over-the-shoulder pass that just landed right at the head of Leonardo. Again, another player making his debut with the team. And Leonardo, I've never really seen a header from that area, that position, with such force get into the back of the net. At least watching Orange County Soccer Club, I can definitely say that. Let's just talk about that play, maybe in just, a brief description of how that whole play turned out and what was going on in your mind when that happened. I'll start off with you, Cameron.
Tic-tac-toe.
All right. That was probably the simplest answer ever. Do you care to elaborate? I mean, what was going on in your mind when just as you saw that play unfolding?
I think it was Trotter who put the ball in, and I forgot who was unmarked towards the edge of the box, but it's like I'm seeing it like, all right, Liam just pinged a shot, pinged across to a guy who was unmarked, and I'm like, all right, he's gonna hit it back in, and then he heads it back. Leonardo puts it in, goal, Bosch, yes, tic tac toe.
I think Cameron is right now trying to audition for being one of the ESPN Plus announcers, because that just sounds like something they would say on the live broadcast.
Such an easy job that you have to be able to get. My God.
Well, I know, Dylan. We'll talk about it because you caught another mistake in this match, I think, with some of the graphics that was going on. I think they haven't quite figured that out yet. But Dylan, let me ask you about this goal, just sort of the buildup, the play, the outcome. What was your thoughts going on out there at the Championship Soccer Stadium?
My thoughts as this play were happening were get to the press box, get to the press box, get to the press box. Oh my God, I need to start writing this recap. Get to the press box, sprinted up the stairs, threw open the door as this ball gets played in. Trotter, Leonardo, ball in the back of the net. Tried not to just scream because there was a lovely couple next to me that were enjoying
like the VIP section,
I think. And I was trying not to be that guy, trying to be that press guy that's supposed to be impartial or whatever. And then immediately having to change what I was writing because all of a sudden we just tied it up and thinking, well, I guess we still have that fight in us.
How fun it was for you to have to pretty much rewrite your whole recap, right? You already probably had it all ready, or at least all in your mind ready. And now you're having to be just totally creative on the fly.
Yeah, and people used to complain back when Man United had Sir Alex Ferguson as their manager, and they'd always score in stoppage time, and all the press would get pissed off because they have to restart all of their stuff, and that's basically what happened to me. But I was glad to have to rewrite everything. Let me put it that way. I was thrilled, and we have that fight back. So if we could figure out how to play 90 minutes, we'll be ace. And our GM basically echoed that, and I asked him why the club was trying to kill me, and he said, no, we'll have it. And I said, yeah, but you're gonna kill me before we have it sorted. Like, just we're gonna figure out a way to play 90 minutes. But yeah, I think everyone was pretty relieved.
Go ahead, Cameron.
No, I think just being in the press box for like every play, you had Keston and Oliver like, that's a fucking foul. I just made
Nice.
expletives. I just made I made this video explicit content. Parental advisory. Sorry, Ray.
Cameron's gonna eventually have to get banned from this podcast.
Is at 9:16, so probably around
44 minutes.
There we go.
On my video that I'm recording, so I'll get that.
All right. So, but like James and Oliver was yelling constantly about every little tackle, every little foul, and it was hilarious. It was. I mean, again, I agree with them on sentiments, but it was like every 5 minutes during like the 80th, during the second half, it was just like that's a card, that's a card, that's a card, and I mean, I was like, I agree on that play. But yes,
we'll talk about refs here in just a moment.
But again, I apologize for making you put the parental advisory explicit content label on the podcast.
I'm gonna fix it. Alan, now can you help give us your thoughts on that without dropping an F-bomb?
Well, as a middle school teacher, I'm really good at editing myself. No, I think you're taught if the cross comes in and you're too far away, you put it back across the face of goal. I think the defense one way, the goalie's setting up and he just puts it back. And I think it just opens everything up and allows Leonardo to just head it beautifully home. I was just like, that is gorgeous. I mean, book ending on, I know giving a shout out to New Mexico is not a great thing, but book ending the game with just two beautiful headers was absolutely thrilling. I mean, I knew it was going to end up 2-2 because I watched it the next day, and it was still thrilling to watch that ball go in.
Perfect. Let's do this before we go into our picks for MVP of the match. Let's talk about a topic that Dylan and I love to talk about quite often, and that's the referees. For anyone that, again, goes on and reads some of our contact, I released our The Good, the Bad, the Ugly today, and my ugly portion of it was the referees in this match. Who would have guessed? Here was my complaints about this referee. A couple of things. A, he never once wanted to play the advantage from what I could tell. It was almost, and this is on both teams. I think New Mexico was frustrated with it and Orange County was frustrated with it. But in multiple instances, when there was an advantage for the team that had been fouled, he still blew the whistle dead, made the game reset, which that sort of can ruin any kind of flow. And it takes away an awesome advantage for a team. One of those instances was an instance where Orange County, the player got fouled. They had the advantage, but the referee stopped it, didn't care, stopped it. And then in the ensuing restart of play, almost instantaneously, Orange County gives the ball away to New Mexico, and New Mexico gets some sort of, at least break towards the goal. I can't remember the exact outcome of that. The second complaint I had with the referees in this match is, for whatever reason, this referee was determined to make the players start play back from like the exact spot where a foul happened. A lot of times when you watch professional soccer, and I think anyone listening here watches quite a bit of professional soccer, there's some sort of infraction. And if the ball is restarted like 10 yards back, 15 yards back from the infraction, the ref usually has no problem with that because that's really no advantage for the team in that situation. But for whatever reason, this ref in this match was determined that any foul, you had to like pretty much be like an inch away from where the infraction happened. I don't know if I'm being way over picky on this or if I'm just I'm seeing something completely different from what anyone else is seeing. But I want to ask you guys, do you guys sort of agree with that analysis of what was going on? And really, I guess my big question is, what the heck was the ref thinking in that match? I'm going to start with Dylan on this question.
Well, like I said earlier, we good, Cameron?
No, Alex. No, there's some stuff on Netflix.
Highwaymen, like the band with Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash, and
yeah, it says this is the Highwaymen.
I'm watching that.
We'll get back to this in a minute. I'm amazed I did not blow a blood vessel in my eye during this game. I was losing my freaking mind. And then I think earlier this week on Facebook, there was discussion about not verbally abusing the referees the whole game. So I'll have to.
This is after the game. We're talking about it after the game now, right?
Yeah. So I'll have to watch myself going forward. But it was really bad refereeing. It was, I guess, consistent because it was terrible. But it was just ridiculous that no advantage ever got played. There were repeated fouls. That, I think it was 7 or 8 fouls on Frater before he got a card. And I was like, what does it take? It's like 4 or 5 maybe. It was surreal and extremely frustrating. And I'm kind of amazed he didn't really lose control of that game and let tempers flare and watch something crazy happen, because New Mexico has picked up a lot of cards. I think they probably still lead the league. I think they're at 12 right now. They probably still lead the league in yellows. I'm amazed no one's picked up a red yet. My God. It was terrible. It was so frustrating to watch happen.
Let me do this. Let me ask our friend who is sitting quietly waiting to share his thoughts. Alan, what are your thoughts on the refereeing in this match? And did you see the same type of stuff I was seeing as you watched the match?
I noticed a lot about it was like, no, not that blade of grass, that blade of grass. That's where the foul happened. You need to move back or up. It's like, yeah, the ball goes backwards, you stop it, you keep going, and usually everyone's fine with it. But yeah, it was super, like, I didn't notice the advantages as much as the OCD nature of where exactly the foul happened. The ball had to start there. And it was mind-blowing how many times he stopped and restarted. It's like, it was incomprehensible.
And you could have probably added 10 minutes to the end of the game because of exactly that, like how long it took to get things restarted after the ref like made the players reposition like 4 or 5 times on certain instances because they weren't in the exact spot. Mr. Noisy over there, Cameron, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was advantage playing. I think it was like there were times where he could have had a break, but he called it back. And I'm just thinking, wow, that sucks. And it's just like, I mean, I guess just since it's like United States soccer referees, I think we kind of get what we're paying for here. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's not it. Yeah, Frater should have gotten a yellow card. I mean, yeah, I felt he didn't want to be the bad guy. I think he went in that game knowing that he did not want to be the bad guy. So he let a lot of things go. You know, he wasn't going to give team an unfair advantage, like quote unquote, like advantage. I think he was trying so hard not to be the bad guy that night.
Here's my thought on it. I think his like brand new girlfriend was watching a match and he was trying to impress her by showing like how like dominant he could be out there on the pitch. I mean, that's my only thing I can think of on this, because there was no excuse for that many instances where he's like forcing players to move the ball like a few feet because that's where the foul happened. The advantage is that he was basically he didn't care about. And then, yeah, there were some fouls where it obviously looked like a foul and nothing was called. And then other instances where he's like, okay, I'll finally blow my whistle here. So for Matt, we're going to sort of skip past this subject now. I got to vent it out. You guys got to share your thoughts. Let's get into MVPs of this match against New Mexico. Just let me know who you thought the MVP was.
Cameron, go first.
A brief reason why. Cameron, go for it.
I think my man of the match was Aaron Cervantes. I think if he didn't make that save early in the second half, I think the game would have been way too out of reach for Orange County. And I think, yeah, he had a composed performance. He did really well, commanded the box really well. And, yeah, I think just he gave us that chance to draw a level at 2-2.
What about you, Alan?
I'm going to give it to Liam Trotter. I think coming on, I think he kind of reestablished the momentum for Orange County and a physical presence, and then, you know, putting that header across to get them back to a draw.
Dylan, what about you?
Also Liam Trotter. And if you go on the USL website to try and look up his stats and you click on Liam Trotter, it brings you Giovanni Ramos Godoy's stats. Well, actually it brings up those stats, and then it brings up Liam Trotter's statistics. So apparently Liam Trotter is 23 and 6 foot 160, but he was really great. Came on, passing was excellent. Obviously, that assist was pretty good. Picked up a couple fouls. It was good. Or, you know, he drew a couple fouls. That's what you want out of a guy to come in, and he hasn't played in I think almost 3 months now. Comes in, no issues.
Solid.
I'm thrilled. It's got to be him. And that's not discounting Aaron, because Aaron had an amazing game as the debut. But I know you're going to give it to Aaron. So
you said Trotter's page on the USL website is showing like Godoy's
player profile,
but it's actually the Trotter
statistics are Liam Trotter. So yeah.
I thought you were going to give me a chance to say, hey,
USL.
I thought you were going to give me a chance to say, hey, come on over and check our website where we post the player stats and have the correct player stats with the correct player, but it is what it is.
Well, you have to do that anyway.
and you got it right, Dylan. It's my pick was going to be Aaron Cervantes. I think I agree with Cameron. That save he made early in the second half is basically what kept us in the match. If he doesn't make that save, again, that save that's nominated for goal of the week, currently leading for goal of the week, but don't let that stop you from continuing to vote, because he deserves to win it. But without that save, the Liam Trotter sub doesn't mean anything for Orange County. Orange County pretty much concedes this game. So that save kept them in it and allowed them to come back and at least get a point. So yes, they're still searching for a win, but a point is better than 0 points. And hopefully they can pick up a full 3 points, their first victory of the season. In the next match against another new team in the league, El Paso Locomotive FC, or EPLFC, if we want to go crazy with acronyms and whatnot. I have no idea what to expect out of El Paso. I haven't watched any of their matches this season, so I'm going to just throw it out there as sort of this open discussion from all of y'all, and we can just keep this brief unless someone really feels they're an expert on this team. What does anyone know what to expect out of El Paso in this match?
Yeah, not a lot of greatness. They gave up a 2-goal lead to bottom of the table Rio Grande Valley.
Okay.
In the final, I think 10 minutes, 79th and 90th minute, to throw a game away.
You almost scared me there, Dylan. You almost scared me when you said nothingness and that they gave up a 2-goal lead, because we gave up a 5-goal lead. But yeah, our 5
we gave up a 2-goal lead. We
2-goal lead. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They have 1 point. They're not very good. They could not manage to beat
El Paso are a train wreck.
Good one. And they couldn't manage to beat the Monarchs, who played with 10 men for 60 minutes. They're not very great.
That was their 1 point.
They're worse than us, which is amazing.
Did Cameron just drop that like
it's a weak pun / dad joke.
Does that become our podcast title? I just have to question it. I think we might get more El Paso enemies. We might get more El Paso enemies than Phoenix enemies, which would be surprising. But let's be nice to El Paso, because this is our first time facing them. I actually did try to get their podcast, one of their hosts on their podcast, on to share any knowledge of El Paso, because I really have nothing that I know of this team, but unfortunately scheduling issues. They record around the same time we record. It couldn't quite work out. Alan, let me get to you. Do you know anything about this El Paso team that you could share?
No, I know that they're not great. Their 1 point was a 0-0 draw against the Monarchs. They lost 3-1 against OKC. I don't see a whole lot there. They're not a New Mexico expansion franchise. They're definitely they're definitely at the bottom. So if we don't pull out a win here, there's going to be a lot of question marks at the end of the game about who we should have on the pitch.
Yeah,
but they have a British manager, so they clearly know what's happening.
That gives you a couple bonus points in the game of life, or soccer life, or whatever. So,
what, having an English accent? Yeah, I think it does give you a few bonus points.
I'm a little scared though now that we've talked about El Paso, because last season we had this sort of like orange and black SoccerCast confident curse type thing, where anytime Dylan and I were very confident in what would happen in a match, the opposite happened. I don't know if you guys have at all confidently said that Orange County
that was over. You were like, no, we're fine. We got this. We're going to destroy
and
Reno
what happened?
Or
and
something.
What happened?
And look at what you've done.
Yes, look what I did for being so confident that it was over. Okay, since we don't have much to talk about with El Paso, because none of us really know more than just sort of what we can see on results and stats, do we want to just go into our predictions as far as the score and maybe who the key player for Orange County will be? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, Cameron, since you responded first, you can answer. What do you think the score is going to be, and who do you think is going to be the star for Orange County, or the key player for Orange County?
Trotter starts 2-0 Orange County.
Alan, how about you?
I'm going to go 2-1, and I think Darwin Jones does all right this time.
Dylan.
I'm going to say Seaton's back, Trotter starts, plays a half. In 3-1 Orange County.
All right. Man, see, you guys are now scaring me because you guys all picked Orange County to win. You guys all said it pretty
faith.
You guys all said it pretty confidently, so I don't want to jinx the club. I'm going to say 1-0 Orange County, and the goal will be from Harry Forrester, and he'll be the star of the match for the team. Let's do this. Let's get into any other soccer related news that anyone wants to talk about. I know, Alan, you mentioned you watched some U.S. soccer. I don't know if you want to share what you saw with that, or if there's anything else anyone wants to talk about soccer related.
If you want to watch the first half, it's actually kind of fun. The second half was a snooze fest. So you can find the U.S. men's national team against Chile. It is kind of an open first half and then just so boring second half. Pulisic scores for the first time in forever, but then has to leave with a precautionary injury. So pretty typical.
How about Cameron? Do you have anything soccer related you want to talk about?
Tottenham's new stadium. First. Say it louder for the people in the back going.
No one cares. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, people do care. People do care. But no,
it's a beautiful stadium. It's a beautiful stadium.
It's the nicest stadium in the Premier League. You know,
how could it be that if they've never played a game in it?
It's coming. Crystal Palace,
April 3rd.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I really don't care about this stadium.
It's a beautiful stadium. Dylan, we're going to take our profits from this podcast eventually, and we'll take a trip to the stadium, and you'll get to watch.
Fine, we'll talk stadium news after Cameron.
We'll fund the cheese room.
Yeah, they nixed that.
Oh God! All right, Cameron, is this it? Is it
no. We should, Cameron. What we'll do is that's what I'm going to funnel our profits on from this podcast. Is we will sponsor the cheese room. It'll be the Orange and Black SoccerCast cheese room at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That'll be the name of the room.
That's perfect.
Dylan, you're getting a little antsy or frustrated or whatever it is.
He's about as frustrated at me as he is the refs on Saturday nights.
Let's talk about Luton Town if you want to, Dylan. Bring up that great.
Yeah, I've got news about a team that no one cares about. Luton Town is getting a new stadium, and it's well needed.
They're copying Tottenham.
And
Tottenham gets a new stadium. Luton Town gets a new stadium.
Also, Luton Town, top of League One. 5 points, 7 matches to go. They have not lost a game since the 13th of October.
Dylan's getting excited.
They've got plus 45 goal difference. They're going up. Consecutive promotions. It's crazy. Sunderland is in 4th place in this division. Portsmouth in 3rd place in this division. It's insane. They're going to be the new Giants.
It's insane. Yes,
I'm so excited for next year. Got that ESPN Plus. Going to watch those games. Oh, man. Yeah, it's exciting. They're getting a new stadium after 107 years.
You'll get to watch them for one season, and they'll drop back down to League One, and you'll be without them again. So.
Oh, and they're doing this without gambling money. So that's pretty solid, too.
Who uses gambling money for anything?
Like half of the Prem teams.
Okay, not Tottenham. They don't use it.
You have to have money to begin with.
They have money, they just don't use it. Let's get into our wrap up here. Let's get into our random thoughts. We'll go back around the horn here, and we'll go to you, Alan. Do you have any random thoughts to share this weekend?
Yeah, I finished Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime and enjoyed watching John Krasinski or whatever you say his name is be Jack Ryan, and it was relatively enjoyable. I'm enjoying my spring break, catching up on moderately entertaining television.
Now, when you were watching that, don't you just automatically think of The Office when you see his face and when you hear him talk?
I do, and it's super weird because he like shoots people, and I'm like, "Whoa, Pam would not approve."
I was gonna say, where's Pam Beasley when all this is going on, right? Or Michael
Scott,
yeah.
He's the real Agent Michael Scarn.
Yes, Michael Scarn. They need to come up with that show, the Michael Scarn show. Cameron, what do you got random for us? This is always an adventure. What do you got for us?
Oh man, I thought you were gonna go to Dylan next.
Before you get started, Cameron, we do need to start, and I saw this in the comments earlier. We need to start on our next episode that Cameron's on. Where in the house is Cameron Millage? Is that how you say your last name?
I already made that joke.
I know you did, but I'm saying it because there's some people that only listen to our podcast, so they're not going to see the chat that you have there. Or did you actually say it vocally?
Wait, what?
We're confused now.
All right, are you talking to Billy or are you talking to me?
Cameron, go. Your random
All
thought
right.
for this week.
All right.
Dylan's in a hurry.
I mean, I was subbing today at Travis Ranch Middle School, and one of my students flat out said, "Do you work at Nordstrom?" I was like, "No," because she's like, "Well, you look like you do." And I was wearing a floral print shirt with a denim jacket, rolled up jeans, and Adidas. And I guess that's what people at Nordstrom go to work with.
Yeah, we had a different adjective for kids that dress like that in high school when I was there. But
a denim jacket, really?
Yeah, I have. I've
long live denim. What? I can't. Ray, I'm so betrayed right now. Long live the denim jacket, man. Totally wearing one next game.
You should, man. We should release a Orange and Black SoccerCast denim jacket that people can buy.
I will double denim.
Double denim.
Control.
You gotta be studying to pull that one off.
So we know now we can call Cameron the Nordstrom worker, apparently. Dylan, what literature are you going to force down our listeners' throats this week?
Wow, I never force anything down
or
because
ears.
they don't read. I don't think no one has ever said no.
That was an awesome recommendation, Mr. Dylan.
One person has one time or a few times ever actually read what I've recommended. But this week, despite someone complaining about none of my suggestions ever being happy or comedic, I've got Zadie Smith's The Lazy River. It was published in the New Yorker 2 years ago. A little bit of a two-parter, but it's actually a really short read, well worth reading, and have at it.
I think that's the other half is all of Ray's mistakes and then all of Dylan's recommendations. So you can go back and just put all of those beautiful moments together.
Dylan, I'm sorry, Alan, you need to put that book together and we'll create that and
yeah, man, you're on
break.
We'll
sell it. I mean, yeah, you got time right now. You can go listen to all 30 something, almost 40 episodes of our podcast and figure out every mistake I've made and try and figure out what I was meaning to say, put a glossary together. That would be awesome.
Plus, everyone knows that teachers don't actually work full time. I mean, you go home at 3 p.m. So it's not even a real full-time job.
Hey,
we can tell that I'm being facetious, right? I don't need to make this more clear.
You're getting enemies now, Dylan.
To be fair, I'm not a real teacher. I'm a music teacher, and we don't even have papers to grade. I mean, we have scores to study, but
you just settle up the same 4 years of stuff, and you just rotate through.
I'm not gonna lie. I've thought about it.
Isn't that any job?
Well, yeah, the best director I know and one of the best directors in Southern California does the same 4 years of music, and he does it exceptionally well because he knows that music probably better than anyone. So right. there is some weight to that.
I guess it's my turn, right?
Yep.
I'm looking at my phone right now because I'm trying to pull up a text that I received a few days ago.
It's not from me.
I think it wasn't from you, Dylan, but it was someone that screenshotted a text that you sent to them during the first round of the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you recall the text that you sent, Dylan.
Break, man. And I didn't say when, I said if.
You didn't say anything about if. You said, be ready to blank on Ray about UCI. Ha, ha, ha. And this was during the first round of the NCAA tournament, which for anyone that follows the NCAA tournament, UCI won.
Can you give them some credit? Hold on.
I will appreciate
context.
I will appreciate it. It was I think our friends from Reno, you were talking behind my back about the tournament. You texted out "Rest in Peace, Wolfpack" to them, and then you said, "Be ready to basically laugh at Ray about UCI." When in fact UCI won that first game. Yeah, they did lose the next game pretty badly, but we did win that first game that Dylan was ready to make fun of me on. So Dylan, Zot.
I'm gonna send everyone my text for the rest of my life with so many expletives that you won't even be able to have any sort of coherent sentence on the podcast if you try and bring them up.
I will appreciate it. I don't have the number saved, but whoever texted this in the group text, basically just saying, I just wanted Ray to know that you doubted UCI, Dylan. So
that would have been Brad Polonsky.
That would have been Brad Polonsky. I didn't save his number with his name. I have his number on here. I didn't save his name. So thank you, Brad, for sticking up or backing me up on UCI. And thank you for calling out Dylan on his ready or willingness to make fun of me about UCI. Again, Dylan, there you go. Zot.
It's not a big.
I'm gonna let Gio
like
know too. I'm gonna let USI.
UCI.
There you go. There you go, buddy.
There we go. Wow, I made a mistake, everyone. The podcast is over.
You're turning into me. You're turning into me. I'm gonna let Gio know that you doubted UCI. I'm gonna
let Danny Cristomo.
I'll let him know. I'll let Rafa Espinoza too know that you doubted UCI in the tournament. So. Unfortunately, UCI was the last team from California alive in the tournament. Unfortunately, they got knocked out. So,
how many teams from California were in the tournament?
Dos. And the other
I was expecting one as the answer, so I'll give you that one.
The other one was St. Mary's, but we talked about it last week. We talked about it last week. Remember UCLA, USC? None of the big teams made it. So,
well, they're too busy, trying to find money that shouldn't be in their.
Ooh, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Oh, that would open up. We could do like a whole series on that and actually probably make money off of it.
It'll be like our serial. It'll be like the new serial podcast.
Sure.
Oh, hold on. Brad just texted me. In y'all's cast here in Southern California / society, we use you all or your, not y'all. We use words here, not bad conjunctions.
All right, Dylan, before you go correct literature or verbalness or whatever.
Verbalness. Oh, yes. God, you're making Alan work so hard.
Have you ever thought I just throw up these random words just to do it? I think people like hearing my random words, except for I think some people. I know Andy tends to act like he hates it, but I think deep down he appreciates all the creativeness I have, some of my awesome verbal skills of creating words. Rappers nowadays pretty much just create a bunch of random words, put them together, and turn it into a rap song. So
that sounds like German,
right?
And / or Reno. Shakespeare. Jeez, I have Reno on the mind.
Let's try and end this podcast now before we go crazy here. So before we do so, I know we've done this the last few weeks, but I'm going to give you gentlemen a chance to share where our listeners can find you. Cameron, where can our listeners find all of your wonderful thoughts on social media and the web areas?
So on Twitter, you can follow me at What Cameron Said, one full word, and on Instagram at simply known as Cam.
Awesome. You were excited about that too. Alan, what about you?
You can hear my verbalocity on Twitter at @Underwood. @Underwood48. And I have other social media, but I don't do any of that stuff.
I'm gonna take that word. I'm gonna use that episode now. I want that word to show up in the Oxford Dictionary someday. Dylan, go for it. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at OCSC_Dylan, or you can find me on Reddit at OCSC_Dylan, or you can find me on SoundCloud. Just kidding. No one's getting that link. Everyone have a great week.
You're so creative with your usernames too. For myself, I'm at DJ Ray Zamora. You can also follow the Orange and Black SoccerCast Twitter, OCSC_SoccerCast. Find us on Facebook, Orange and Black SoccerCast. On SoundCloud, you can find us Orange and Black SoccerCast. On Instagram, OCSC_SoccerCast. Our website, www.orangeandblacksoccercast.com, or if that's too long for you, www.ocscpodcast.com.
Or just ocscpodcast.com. You don't need the prefix.
No, I want people to type in www. It sounds much cooler.
You want the https://
Always.
Hey, that S is there. That's a good thing to know if you're listening. We are a secure website. You can also find us on Beautiful Game Network, bgn.fm. Not just us, but a bunch of other podcasts on there as well that are mostly USL based, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. Dylan's typing crazily right now.
How old's a keyboard, right?
That's Dylan. That was Dylan typing.
Sorry, I was typing something in the chat about what Ray had just said, and I forgot to mute myself.
Your keyboard sounds hella old.
It is a mechanical keyboard, but it's only 2 years old, but it's made of aluminum.
All right, before we start talking about people's keyboards here, we got to end this podcast. I want to thank Alan, Cameron for coming back each and every like now. You guys can come back, if you're available in the future. Dylan, of course, you're here every episode. You're sort of not contractually committed, but
contractually. I'm gonna bust a blood vessel in my eye now, man.
But I want to thank all of our listeners that have been listening since day one. Thanks for coming back each and every episode and supporting us. For any of you that are listening for the very first time, go and check back some of our older episodes. You can hear what we've said about stuff in the past season and also earlier on in this season. I want to thank the gentlemen that have joined us today. This is the Orange and Black SoccerCast, and we are out. Podcasts are a great way for your business to advertise to target audiences. And the Orange and Black SoccerCast is looking for advertisers like you. If you're interested in advertising your business on our podcast, please email us at info@orangeandblacksoccercast.com. The Orange and Black SoccerCast has joined forces with many other soccer podcasts, many of them focusing on the USL. We're now part of the Beautiful Game Network, bgn.fm.